Happy Halloween! Hello! Ah, look at this. This is a bucket of candy. Bucket of candy from Charlie. Um, Andy has a bigger one, bigger bucket. But let's see, you got some Sour Patch Kids. Are you a Sour Patch Kid fan? Maybe Kit Kat? We got full size. We went into the neighborhood next to us, which is where the rich people live. They give out full size candy bars. Um, these are the sizes we give out. Here you go. You can have one. Anyway, lots of chocolate, lots of sugary candy. What kind of person are you? Sugary or chocolate? I'm a chocolate kind of guy. Anyway, trying to stay away from all of that. Stay away. Today I'm going to talk about photos and cut lines. These are critical storytelling elements for you. So if you want to go to, please, the Canvas assignment posting that's titled Great Photos and Effective Cut Lines. Pause me if you need to and click on that assignment post, and I'm going to go through those links and then a final PowerPoint presentation. I'll do this as quickly as I can, but keep in mind that photos and cut lines, frankly, can be more important than your story. Really, it starts with the image. You all, I know, are image conscious people, way more than any other generation before. You love images. You look at the stories now that are online, they all come with images, and almost all of them now come with videos. In fact, we get really disappointed when we click on a story online and there's no accompanying video. It's become a very important element of storytelling. We're not going to have you do videos in this class, but we do want you to take photos, largely so you can, on your resume, say that you, in your journalism program at Miami, not only did it include writing and reporting and interviewing, but it also included photojournalism and then writing cut lines as well, which is a shortened version of storytelling, which then will appeal to prospective employers because it means you're able to get all critical information in a small amount of space. So if you would please click on the How to Take Good Photos 101. As I said in my message on Canvas, this is not a photojournalism class. This is a writing class. So do the best you can with pictures with your smartphone. You don't need to go out and get fancy equipment or anything. We're not expecting that. What we do want you to understand is the rule of thirds. It's as it says here at the top of this website, that it's an essential photography technique. As you scroll down, you'll see what the rule of thirds means. There's a graph. It's set up into a grid, and you can see how the major images are interconnected at those critical crossing points. So if you keep scrolling down, you'll see a picture of a person on a frozen tundra, and you see how the rocks are placed through that bottom third of the photo. Go down even to the next one with the tree covered in snow, and you'll see how that tree meets that right side of the grid. And as you go through this site, you'll see how the pictures work out. If you look at the young lady with the red hair who has her hand over her face, the rule of thirds can help you do a number of things. One, it can keep you from chopping the heads off people, which I'm really good at doing that in photographs, or the head of the person being way down at the bottom of the picture, and then you've got all this empty space above the person. So this really allows you to draw people in properly to the images that you are creating. Anyway, a bunch of different examples for you, and so make sure you go through that and do the best you can with pictures. Here's the thing about pictures that matters more than anything. Do not take pictures where people are posed, where they're standing there smiling for the camera. In fact, that's the worst phrase ever, is that Sally Smith smiles for the camera. That's junior high yearbook kind of phrasing and that kind of picture. So no cutesy pie, Can you smile for me, please? Pictures, those cannot happen. I will take a blurry, almost impossible to even see photograph where people were doing something, what's called a candid picture, than a posed one. So please keep that in mind. All right, so that's it for that. Read through that website. If you have any questions about the rule of thirds, let me know. When you go to an article, the first thing usually you do is read the headline. That gets you to click on the article. And then the image is typically the very first thing you see after the headline. The image is important because it draws you in. And then typically your eyes go to the cut line. If you click on the next link, which is titled Why Cut Lines Are Important, this is from the Poynter Institute, and it states in the lead that cut lines are important to the engagement of readers in a newspaper, and in many cases will determine whether people will even read your story. So before they even get to your lead, which, as Terrence and I tell you, is everything, they're going to look at your picture and they're going to look at your headline, then your picture, then your cut line, then maybe they'll decide to read your story. And the article talks about how in eye tracking studies, cut lines get higher readership than story text. So I'm trying to sell you, if you can't tell, on the importance of taking pictures and writing cut lines. So this article just goes through the importance of cut lines and why they're so critical in your story. Anyway, you can read through that. The next link is titled How to Write Good Cut Lines. So please click on that link. There are 10 tips here. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. I'll let you read these on your own time. Although if you just follow along with me, then it should be good enough for you to understand. Number one on this How to Write Good Cut Lines list is not to insult your readers. So if somebody's doing something very obvious, you don't say so-and-so is doing something very obvious. So they give an example of John Johnson who's standing next to a fence. Don't write John Johnson stands next to a fence. We want to know why he is there. Number two, cut lines are mini stories. Terrence and I are going to want more from you than just the name of somebody. You're not just going to write Sally Smith, or you're not just going to write Sally Smith is a Miami University student. We want these to be, in essence, a pretty meaty amount of text. The number two goes through the essentials that you need, which is the who and the what and the when and the where and the why. Every cut line needs this. And it typically goes in that order, the who and the what. That's going to be subject and verb. Miami University sophomore Sally Jones studies, or Miami University senior Gabby Smith heads uptown. So subject and then verbs. That's the who and that's the what. And then you'll add the when and the where. Typically, that's going to be your first sentence. Remember, we like short sentences. And then you can add the why in there as well. So number two talks about those many stories. Three discusses who's who, that you need to identify who the people are. I'm going to give you a sample cut line for you to follow a little bit later in the program. Number four, names. You got to get the names of people. Of course, if there's a massive group of people, you aren't expected to get the names of everybody. It would be nice if you get the name of at least one person, but we understand sometimes the big crowd isn't conducive to that. Five is, for some reason, they're trying to, again, convince you that cut lines matter. I already tried to do that. Six, you need to be accurate in terms of the who and the what and the when and the where and the why. Seven is important. Very important. You need to write in present tense. They give me an example. Number one, a Nigerian technician prepares. Not is preparing, not prepared, not was preparing. We're not going to go into past progressive or present progressive or any of those sorts of things. We want present tense. Prepares, walks, runs, skips, jumps, whatever it is, present tense verbs. Second example, Afghan boys and girls overcome, not overcame or are overcoming. It's always present tense. Number 8 is quality control, just to make sure that you spend enough time and attention to your cut lines as you do your story. Because again, eye tracking studies say that people will read your cut lines before they read your story. If you have errors, especially basic errors in punctuation and grammar, or you're missing information, that will annoy readers. They will assume that you just aren't qualified to say anything about anything, and they'll move on. You want people in a good mood. You want people interested and excited to read the big story. Number 9, the little important stuff is to adding a quote to your text, which is something we are going to require. And they put some other little things in that item there for number 9, but the quote is the most important thing. I'll get to that in a little bit. And 10 is, of course, to look at your photo before you write your cut line, because that will help you figure out exactly what to write and how to put a little bit more thought into that. All right, so those are the basic things. I'm going to go through some more tips as well. Hey, look at that. We're already moving on to the PowerPoint, which is the last item. So open that up, please, and follow along with me. What I've included here are some of the greatest photographs in the history of journalism. These are Pulitzer Prize winning pictures, most of them, all of them, most of them. And so let's look at them. The first picture is a little boy. This is a parade during World War I, after the war had ended. And the little boy is a big fan of the police officer and wants to give the police officer a little flower. Isn't that darling? The little boy is smiling up at the police officer. The second photo is an iconic one. This is from Kent State University in Ohio in 1970. That's Marianne Vecchio, who's a 14-year-old runaway. She had run away that day and was on the campus at Kent State when the Ohio National Guard decided to open fire on unarmed Kent State University students who were running away from the National Guard. That's Jeffrey Miller, who had been shot and killed, and Marianne Vecchio is screaming over his body. Next image, you probably know that one, very familiar with that. That's Iwo Jima, which is during World War II. Next image is a celebration in Times Square, New York City, after World War II had ended, and a Navy, I think he's a Navy guy, sees a nurse and decides to plan a big one on her, which of course would get you a nice sexual assault charge these days, but it was romanticized then as a spontaneous overcome with emotion moment. I'm going to sneeze. Am I going to sneeze? Hold on. No, I'm not. The next one is a POW from Vietnam who was released after a long time as a POW. That's his family meeting him on the tarmac to celebrate him coming home. Next image you probably all know, that's Lee Harvey Oswald getting shot by Jack Ruby. Terrence could tell you all about this. Jack Ruby saying he shot Oswald because he was upset that Oswald had killed John F. Kennedy. And then finally, one of my favorite pictures of all time. This is a young boy who had cancer, and he was tired of being confined to a bed with wires and unable to move, and so his mom decided to put him in a wheelchair and race him up and down the hallway of a hospital. A little boy with terminal cancer. What do all these pictures have in common? If you look back through all of these, what would you say all of these pictures, how are they all related? Yeah, if you said that they all have people in them, very good. They have people doing things in them, and they are emotional. There are some heartbreaking moments, like the Kent State one, joyous moments, like the Times Square sailor kissing the nurse, or the POW returning. Iconic images of Oswald getting shot, the feeling of utter freedom in that last photo of the boy in the wheelchair. All of these are candid photos. These are humans going through emotional moments, And those are the greatest images that you can do. That's what we want from you. No post pictures. People just doing what they're doing. And your goal is to, as best you can, try to capture those moments. By the way, if you look at these pictures, all of them pretty much follow the rule of thirds. Look at that very first picture with the police officer and the kid. Their bodies are both in the two grids, and then the officer's body is going across that grid. So that's, again, going back to how to take good pictures. Okay, so the next slide after the boy in the wheelchair says, let's go through a little tutorial here on, let's look at some bad photography. So let's say that you decided to do a story on life on Miami's campus. If you look at the first picture, you'll see a picture. If you look at the first picture, you'll see a picture. That makes sense. What's wrong with that picture? If you said there are no humans in it, you got it. It's a lovely building. Big fan of McCracken. But, yeah, does nothing for me. If this is life about Miami's campus, where is the life? There is no life. And by the way, look at that cut line. Remember, we want who, what, when, where, why, and we want a quote. And that why will include some context. That doesn't do it. It doesn't do it in a lot of ways. All it does is give you the where. And it doesn't even do that well. No capital U for university, and the writer misspelled campus. And yes, that is a real cut line from one of my Journalism 201 students about a year, maybe 2 years ago. That's what that student turned in. Good kids. You'll do better. The next one is a fantastic picture. It's beautiful. There are problems with this too. First, there are no humans in the picture. So again, major fail. We care about people, not things. So we need people in the picture. Number two, I'm not sure this student actually took that picture. I'm thinking that student probably lifted it from Google somewhere. Don't do that. Again, we want you to at least try to take the pictures. So don't do that. Three, the cut line. Here is a beautiful photo that I took. First of all, keep yourself out of it. Miami is like a really lovely place. Okay. All right, I made this one up. But notice a number of things. We aren't getting the full who. What's Miami? Miami the city. So we need Miami University. We don't have the what. You know what that is, that picture is. I know what that picture is. So does Terrence. But anybody outside Miami has no clue the importance or significance of that image. So it doesn't have the full where, doesn't have the full what. There's no who, there's no why, there's no when. So not good. Let's look at the next image. Now we're getting somewhere. There are people in this picture, so you at least have that. The problem is they are posing for a picture, or in the cut line vernacular, they are smiling for the camera. Oh, it's the worst. Just the worst. So I don't like it. It's better than the first two images, but it's still not good enough. So I don't care if you get them just walking. It beats this posed picture. Other problems with this. There are humans, but none of them are named. In a picture like this, 8 people, you should be able to get 8 people, the names of the 8 people, instead of just in the cut line, members of the Miami tennis team. Other problems. Miami what? You need Miami University, men's and women's varsity tennis team. You need the full who in these things. So that's the big who, and then the what. In this case, it's smile for the camera. We're not going to have that. We want to know what those people are doing. We need the who, what, when. We need when is this. We need where is this? Is this at Miami's campus? Is this at a tournament somewhere? We need why. Why are they there? So all of that information, most of that information is missing. So let's look at a good one now. We've done enough of the bad. The next slide has exactly what Terrence and I are looking for. So look at the size of that cut line. That's what your cut line should look like in terms of amount of information. Again, this is a pretty meaty nugget of information that readers will be able to get. So notice that I start with, and so first of all, look at the image. It's a good picture. You've got rule of thirds happening here. You have people doing things. It's a candid picture. They're not smiling for the camera. It starts with the who, and look at the full name. Miami University freshman Frank Hannon. That's a full who. We've identified who Frank Hannon is. And then notice that I've identified where he is in the photo, and I put it in parentheses, and I put the word left in lowercase l-e-f-t. So it's right after his name. Miami University freshman Frank Hannon, and then that's the who, then the what. Tries to read a novel. That's the what for his English class. So there's your what. Then I have the where in his Stanton Hall dorm room, and then I have the when, Tuesday afternoon. So who, what, where, and when, just like that. Typically, you don't want to start with the when. You don't want to say on Tuesday afternoon, Frank, because that's not the important thing. People want to know, readers want to know who before they care about the when, unless the when is extremely critical. So I got the who, the what, the where, and the when all in one nice, tidy little sentence. Then I add a little bit more. Then the next important thing to do is identify what else is going on in the picture. So that's next. His roommates, freshman Brian Wheat, and then I put in parentheses middle, lowercase, and Jeff Keith play a video game. Notice I didn't put right in parentheses after Jeff Keith. Don't insult your readers. You've identified the guy on the left. You've identified the guy in the middle. I think we can figure out which one Jeff Keith is. So I've identified them, and I do the who and the what with them, who they are and what they're doing. Now you need a quote. "It's distracting to try to study here," said Hannon, an English major. "I know I should find somewhere better." Then I add the why. Why am I even writing about this? Why am I taking a picture of these guys in the dorm room? And the why comes after the quote. "While Miami does provide study areas for students in all dorms, many students seek other spots, like King Library on campus or Cafeña, a coffee shop in Oxford." What I want you to notice about that sentence are the qualifiers I give King Library and Cafeña. Remember, you're writing for an audience that doesn't know anything about Miami. So you want to make sure all readers know what King Library is, that it's an on-campus library, and what Cafeña is. You know it, I know it, Terrence knows it. Nobody else outside of Miami will know what Cafeña is, so I add the little qualifier. Then more why. Miami has seen a 10% increase in students who have been placed on academic probation since 2005, according to Sally Jenkins, Miami's Academic Affairs Coordinator. Hannon says he's in danger of failing 2 of his classes. So I'm adding a lot of contextual information here to bolster the reason why I'm writing about this. This story is going to deal with academic struggles of students. And if you're interested in that, then you know what the story is going to be about, and you move on to the lead, and off you go to read my story. Okay? So let's do a little test here. Now it's your turn on the next slide to rank the best photo. So if this, again, for saying that your story is about life on Miami's campus, what would you consider to be let's go with the worst photo. Out of those 4, what's the worst photo? Did you say the duck? You should have said the duck. Why? Because that's not Miami University's mascot. That's the University of Miami's mascot. Accuracy. It's a nice picture. Love it. Wrong place. That's the worst photo. What's the second worst photo? Should be pretty easy at this point. I hope you understand that the Fidel Gates would be the second worst photo. No people in that picture. So that's photo number 3 out of 4. Second one you should get is the posed picture. At least there are humans in there, but they're posing. And then the best picture is the one in the bottom left corner, and that's of the group throwing water balloons. So look at the next slide. I ask you to write a great cut line for this photo, assuming that your story is life on Miami's campus. If you don't want to sit there and try to write a cut line, could you at least tell me, or at least think to yourself, what are the key elements that you need in the photo? What are the things we're looking for? Did you say who, and what, and when, and where, and why, and a quote? Those are the things. So click on the very last slide and you'll see again what Terrence and I are expecting. This is a totally made up cut line, of course. So you got the WHO, members of Miami University's Gamma Zeta, totally made up Greek organizations too. Members of Miami University's Gamma Zeta sorority and Delta Tau Chi fraternity. That's actually the fraternity in the movie Animal House. So that's the WHO. Compete. There's the what. Subject, verb. Got the who and the what. Compete in a water balloon toss during Greek week. So I got that. Now I'm going to have the when, which ran September 5 through the 10th. Notice present tense. Members of these organizations compete, not competed, not are competing, compete. Now I've got the when. I stop the sentence. That's enough information. There's a lot going on already in that sentence. Name of the school, name of the two organizations, what they're doing, that it's during Greek week, and the dates of Greek week. That's enough for anybody's brain. So I'm going to stop the sentence there. Then I'm going to add, so I've got the who, I've got the what, and I've got the when. And I didn't write on campus, but I do that in the next sentence. Greek organizations held events throughout campus. It's really, I would argue it's really not critical where on campus this is. A national audience doesn't need to know. It's not going to help them at all. Then I have a quote. We had a blast, said sophomore journalism major, full identification, Chrissy Snow, and identify her, front right, of Marietta, Ohio. So there's a bunch of people in that picture. You can't name all those people. So if you can, when you take a picture like that, try to identify one of the people, especially one that's one of the main people in the picture. And I identified Chrissy Snow in the front right of the photo. So and then another part of the quote from her. It's one reason why I love Miami so much. So that's a great quote. I got that. And now I just need the full why, the full contextual reason why I'm writing about this. Again, this is student life at Miami. So I finish it. Miami is known as the mother of fraternities. According to the school, almost a third of Miami students belong to a Greek organization. The national average is 10%, according to U.S. News and World Report. Notice I put some hyperlinks in there in case readers want to get more information about Miami's Greek system or about Greek organizations overall. All right, and so you want to make sure that you cite any statistics or information that you got from another source. So there you go. There's the who, the what, the when, the where, and eventually the why with a quote. Pretty simple, should be. Do the best you can for paper number 4. Please know that Terrence and I are part of your writing team. So that means pre-writing, thinking about the picture you're going to take, the cut line you're going to write, the story you're going to write, the angle and the lead. We're also a part of your revising and editing team. So consult with us too and let us help you. Okay, that's it. How long was that? Under half an hour. Not too shabby. Let us know if you have any questions. Thanks. Bye.